Leo has appointed Archbishop Gabriele Caccia as the new Apostolic Nuncio to the United States. Since 2019, he served as permanent observer of the Holy See to the United Nations in New York. He succeeds Cardinal Pierre. Archbishop Caccia said he was honored and deeply humbled by the decision of the Holy Father to appoint him as nuncio to the country and the church where the Pope was born and raised. Joining us now from Rome is Francis X. Rocca, Senior Vatican Analyst at EWTN News. Thank you so much for your time.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
While he is an Italian-born veteran Vatican diplomat, what else do we know, and how might this impact relations between the U.S. and the Holy See?
Well, he's had a very distinguished career. He is a graduate of the Pontifical Ecclesiastical Academy, which is an elite training ground for diplomats. He was the Assessor for General Affairs, which is the #3 post in the Secretariat of State, which really a person who's had a lot of responsibility for what goes on day to day in the Vatican. And then he's had some very important diplomatic posts. He was the nuncio to Lebanon and to the Philippines. And then most recently, for the last 6 years, he's been the permanent observer of the United Nations in New York. So those are all in different ways relevant to his new job.
And in addition, some other highlights from his background that you think could be relevant and beneficial for his new role.
Well, I think, the nuncio to Lebanon is very important for a number of reasons. Most obviously, right now we're seeing the conflict in the Middle East, and he was smack in the middle of it. And perhaps a way that's less obvious, Lebanon is, probably has the biggest burden of refugees in the world. 30% of its population is composed of refugees, if you can imagine that. And so that's a big issue. Obviously, migration is a big issue in the United States, and he'll be dealing with that as the representative of the Holy See, which has been critical, like the U.S. bishops, of the immigration policies of the Trump administration. So that's relevant. The Philippines is a Catholic superpower, but it's also one in which internally they have some tension and conflict between the Catholic majority and the Muslim minority. So again, that's something that's relevant to what's going on in the Middle East. And of course, having been at the United Nations, he's been in the United States now for 6 years. So inevitably, he's going to have a heightened awareness and be very well informed about what's going on there.
And what do you think Cardinal Pierre's legacy will be?
Well, he had to manage the relationship at a very difficult time. There was a lot of tension between the Holy See and the U.S. bishops, particularly, and also with the United States under both President Trump and President Biden. There was a question about what to prioritize in their agenda. A lot of the U.S. bishops, the majority of the U.S. bishops, wanted to make the threat of abortion the #1 priority, the preeminent priority. Pope Francis's closest allies were not so keen on that, so there was tension about that, and also how to deal with the Biden administration over that. But going back to Cardinal Pierre, he had to manage that, and I think by all accounts, he did do as well as he could to kind of smooth things out. But he acknowledged himself when he was interviewed with us that there was tension.
As always, you give us so much great information. Francis X. Rocca, Senior Vatican Analyst at EWTN News. Thank you.
Thanks, Veronica.